Hello and welcome back to the Second Take podcast. My name is Calvin Williams. I am here with my co-host Marco Rogers. And after a very, very exciting week of college football, we are here on a Tuesday night recording a podcast episode to tell you all what happened. So today we're going to start off with some 30-second recaps of most of the college football games that were exciting, and then we're going to do some predictions for the first week of the NFL season, new segment, because NFL's starting up again. And then to finish it off, we're just going to do all of our college football stuff for the weekend. So breakout players, underdog predictions, and all of the game predictions. You know the deal. So Marco, let us get started. We're going to start off with Marco, you got it.
All right, so I'm going to start off the college football recap segment with Georgia, number 3 in the country, absolutely destroying the number 11 Oregon Ducks. I mean, this was a game a lot of people thought maybe Oregon could pull off an upset. Maybe they could keep it close. Maybe Bo Nix could have a big game. But Bo Nix just cannot avoid Georgia. Left Auburn to get out of the SEC and still cannot avoid them. I mean, just an all-around terrible game by Oregon. Bo Nix, 21 for 37, 170 yards, 2 picks. Could not do anything. They couldn't move the ball, and their defense looked terrible. Stetson Bennett, those were 370 yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean, he had a play where he breaks 5 defenders' ankles and then throws a perfect pass. I mean, Georgia just...
Stetson Bennett looked really, really good.
He looks a lot better than last year.
Really
and
good.
Georgia, I think, just has better players than everyone in the country besides Bama. I think that's the only way to put it.
Yeah, I mean, if we're being honest with ourselves, unfortunately, Georgia is looking like they might go back-to-back this year. But moving on, a lot of top 10 teams like Michigan, Bama, A&M, Baylor, they all took care of business. Just cupcake games to start the season. Nothing much to say about those. And then after that, Clemson and Georgia Tech actually had a very close first half. It was only 14-3 at the end of the half. But Clemson was able to pull away in the second half for a 41-10 victory. But I'm not going to lie, that first half for DJ Uiagalelei it was ugly. I'm not going to lie to you. And he had a very okay game. So, Marco, do you have anything to say about that?
I mean, yeah, this was 14-10 midway through the third quarter. This was by no means a blowout. But, I mean, Clemson, they have 5 and 4 stars. They're playing against Georgia Tech with 3 stars. I mean, they should have won this game by a lot. They did, but it was a lot uglier than you would have liked, and they did not prove that they should be in the playoffs as of right now.
Yeah, they only dropped to 5 in the AP poll, but they're going to start needing to show up if they want to make a playoff run this year. All right, after that, we have Pitt edging out West Virginia in a very close game, 38-31. This was my upset game. Unfortunately, West Virginia could not pull through, but they did show a lot of promise at the receiver position in Bryce Ford-Wheaton. And JT Daniels, he looked very, very okay in this game. But on the other side of the ball, Keaton Slovis for Pitt, the USC transfer, definitely had a solid game. And I think Pitt could be a dangerous team looking forward.
Yeah, I mean, 2 transfers at QB, JT Daniels from Georgia, Keaton Slovis from USC. Both of them looked solid. I mean, Bryce Ford-Wheaton had a great game, but that drop leading to the pick 6 was just terrible and probably cost them the game.
Yeah, unfortunately, I mean, this reminds me of a game, Ronnie Bell from Michigan in the Penn State game. Like, he had the game of his life. He dropped the ball in the end zone for the win. These things just happen. You can be the best player on your team, make one bad play, and it can all be ruined. So these things happen, but he did show a lot of promise, and I really like him as a potential NFL prospect. Next up, we have Oklahoma State and Spencer Sanders at QB put on an absolute offensive clinic with 58 points. But unfortunately, their defense does not seem to be picking up where it left off last year, as they did allow 44 points in this game. That being said, 14 of those points were kind of garbage points with their subs in, but still allowing 30 points with your starters into a bad Central Michigan team is not where you want to be starting the season at.
Yeah, I mean, obviously losing the defensive coordinator, Jim Knowles, to Ohio State is tough. Ohio State's defense looks very good. Oklahoma State's does not. But 22 of the 44 points were scored in the fourth quarter when the game was over. So, I mean, I think this team will be solid, but I do not see them winning a Big 12 championship.
Yeah. All right, next up, we have Florida State edging out LSU 24-23 on possibly one of the craziest games that we'll see all season. I mean, so I'm actually just going to break this down. So, Florida State driving down the field, minute left. They fumble on the 1-yard line. LSU recovers, goes 99 yards down the field with in a minute. They had a minute to go 99 yards. They get a touchdown, and to tie the game, their PAT gets blocked, and Florida State wins the game. Marco, have you seen anything like this ever?
I mean, absolutely not. Obviously, even before the fumble at the 1-yard line, LSU had a muffed punt at their own 20-yard line. Like, it all started with a muffed punt, and then game kept on getting crazier. And I don't know why Florida State decided to run a pitch play at the 1-yard line. Why not just run it up the middle? But the pitch obviously didn't work. It was fumbled. I mean, wonderful drive by LSU, but that's just the most heartbreaking way to lose. And I love seeing Brian Kelly lose. So that was very pleasing.
And I like that you said Brian Kelly, because it seems like trouble in paradise over there. Like, there's been a lot of drama with the receivers. Like, like 3 of the receivers have deleted everything LSU off of their social media platforms. And it looks like Brian Kelly is causing a lot of issues for this team.
Yeah, and one of those receivers being Kayshon Boutte, one of the best receivers in college football. He deleted all of his social media relating to LSU. If he goes to Bama, like a lot of people think he might, I think it's already over for the rest of the college football.
Yeah, that would be an extremely dangerous position. That would be extremely dangerous for Alabama's offense and Bryce Young and Kayshon Boutte being on the same team. All right, moving on. Another one of the craziest games that I've ever seen. So UNC edges out App State 63-61. So at the end of the third quarter, the score was 41-28. UNC had the lead. They proceeded to allow 40 fourth quarter points. Yes, you heard that right. 40 fourth quarter points to let App State back into the game. And that isn't even the craziest part, though. App State scores with 30 seconds left. And they go for 2. They miss it. So they're down 1. Scores 56-55 UNC. So since they're down 1, they got an onside kicker, right? There's about 30 seconds left at this point. Or, no, there's about like a minute left at this point. So, they onside kick it. UNC recovers it, returns it for a touchdown, make the extra point. They go up 8, 63-65 UNC. That ended up being a huge mistake, because that allowed Appalachian State to have a couple plays. App State has 2 plays. They get into the end zone. And then they miss another 2-point conversion and lose anyways. I mean, that is just, like, Marco, have you even seen anything like this either? Like, that's crazy.
I mean, absolutely not. I believe there are about 62 fourth quarter points scored combined, which is just insane. UNC's defense is so bad. I mean, great fight by App State. Drake May, UNC quarterback, he looks like he might be better than what Sam Howell was last year. He's a high dark horse Heisman candidate, in my opinion. And I think UNC is just going to be such a fun team to watch this year because of how good their offense is and how bad their defense is. I think UNC is going to be in a lot of games like this, and I wouldn't mind watching a lot more games like this.
Unfortunately, I'm not sure how many games they'll be able to stay in, because obviously they put up 63 points this game, and that's against Appalachian State, but they also allowed 61. So like I could also see, like, although they have that crazy high-powered offense, a lot of games could get very out of hand if they get stopped 2 or 3 times, which just didn't happen in this game.
Yeah, I mean, they also were playing without their best receiver, Caleb Downs, which I think if they had him, then they would be a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, but obviously the offense wasn't the issue, but they did get the win. And moving on, our final recap of the week. Coastal Carolina, the best team in the country, of course, wins their week 1 matchup. Easy victory, 38-28 over Army. Grayson McCall is just that guy right now. I mean, he's easily the best quarterback in the country. Forget CJ Stroud, forget Bryce Young. Coastal Carolina and Grayson McCall are winning the national championship this year, and that is just no question about it.
Yeah, I mean, Army, they're a great team. Remember, a couple of years ago, Michigan had a very big scare. Okay. They had a very big scare.
Sorry about that.
Against Army a few years ago. In a 24-21 game. That was Michigan versus Army. This year, Coastal versus Army. Coastal takes care of business, 38-28 against a great Army team. But Grayson McCall is just too good. I see him winning the Heisman this year. I think Coastal makes the playoffs. And I can't wait to see how the season plays out for Coastal.
Yeah, but unfortunately, we already know how it's going to play out. Grayson McCall is going to win the Heisman, and Coastal's going to win the national championship. So it's not even going to be exciting. All right, moving on. First week, NFL. We're going to start off Bills versus Rams. Very exciting game. 2 high-powered teams. Rams coming off the Super Bowl, obviously. Bills, Josh Allen, and Stephon Diggs leading that offense. Marco, who you got here?
I got the Bills, obviously, against the former Super Bowl champs and the Rams. But I think Bills are probably going to win the Super Bowl this year, which pains me to say as a Patriots fan. I think they will. I mean, Josh Allen's too good. They have 2 good receivers. The receiving core is too good. Their defense is going to be very good this year. And I just don't think the Rams are going to repeat. All their players got older, and they had a pretty old team last year. I think Bills are just the better team, and they'll win.
Yeah, I mean, I could very easily see Josh Allen win the MVP this year. And although I think this is going to be a phenomenal game, I mean, it pains me to say it, but I mean, I'm taking the Bills also. It's just Rams. They got a couple guys, but they also lost OBJ at receiver. So I just think this Bills offense is just way too high-powered, and they have a very solid defense to pair with it. Next game, Chiefs-Cardinals. Battle of the red teams here. We got Kyler Murray leading the charge for the Cardinals. Patty Mahomes leading the charge for the Chiefs offense. Obviously, the Chiefs traded away Tyreek Hill, losing their number 1 target. Marco, how do you see this one playing out?
I see the Chiefs winning this game. Cardinals without DeAndre Hopkins with that suspension. With Rondale Moore, their wide receiver 3 is questionable. Marquise Brown's going to be the only real target for Kyler Murray. And I think the Chiefs, I mean, obviously the losing Tyreek Hill, I think that's going to have an effect on them, but not that big of an effect. Patrick Mahomes, still a great player. I think the Chiefs' offense is just too much, and I think their defense will be improved this year. So I see the Chiefs winning this game.
I'm actually going to disagree with you on this one. I think with Tyreek Hill leaving the Chiefs, that just big play aspect that they have has gone. I mean, obviously they are still a big play team, but I just think that Kyler Murray, Marquise Brown, AJ Green, like those are some solid guys. And they have Zach Ertz at tight end who could potentially have a good season. And I just think the Cardinals are going to win this one. I just think the Chiefs are not where they were in previous years, or they are not where they were in previous years, and I think the Cardinals are going to pull away. All right, moving on. Buccaneers, Cowboys. Exciting game here. Tom Brady versus Dak Prescott. I'm going to take the Buccaneers in this one. I just think Tom Brady coming back potentially for his last season for like the third year in a row. This is supposedly his last season. I think they're going to get off to a hot start. I think every year people say, oh, Dak's going to have a big year. Cowboys are going to win the Super Bowl. And they end up getting no more than 10 or 11 wins and making it past the second round of the playoffs. So I got the Bucs in this one. Who are you taking here, Marco?
Oh, I'm also taking the Bucs. I mean, Cowboys O-line banged up with Tyron Smith out. Obviously, trading away Amari Cooper. CeeDee Lamb's their only real receiver. Michael Gallup's questionable. Actually, Michael Gallup's out, so they only really have one receiver. I think Buccaneers defense is going to dominate this game, and Brady's going to put up a necessary amount of points to win this game.
Yeah, most definitely. In our final game for the NFL, we have Russ revisiting his hometown in his first game away from them. We have the Broncos versus the Seahawks. The only reason this is here is because it's Russ going back to Seattle. I think the Broncos are going to win this one. The Seahawks just don't have a good enough quarterback. I mean, Geno Smith is not the guy. Drew Lock is their next option. Both are very mid-tier backup QBs. They are not even mid-tier starters. They are mid-tier backups. So it's just not a good situation for the Seahawks here. I think the Broncos are going to pull away with this one. They have a bunch of targets with Courtland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler. This is going to should be an easy win for the Broncos here.
So I do think this should be an easy win for the Broncos here, but I think the Seahawks pull off the upset. I mean, I don't really think it's going to happen, but I think they have a chance at it. Drew Lock looked incredible in the preseason. I've got to be honest. Maybe he makes a big improvement. He has the receiving threats in DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. I think the Seahawks defense will be decent. I mean, I don't think they'll get torched. They won't be good, but I think Broncos maybe thinking this is a cupcake game. I think Seahawks shock them with the home game.
Wow, bold takes from Marco here. And finally, we have our college football segments. We're going to start out with our breakout players. I'm taking J.J. McCarthy. He had a great week last week against Colorado State after coming in after halftime. And then he just showed why he should be QB1. And I think, Michigan's playing the worst team in the country in Hawaii. And I think this is a big chance for J.J. McCarthy to show why he should be starting when Michigan enters Big Ten play.
Yeah, JJ's going to have a big week against Hawaii, who is one of the worst defenses in college football. Worst teams, probably, but we'll talk more about that. I think JJ's going to have a great game. My breakout player is Trayshawn Holden, the Alabama receiver. Last week had a very solid performance. 5 receptions, 70 yards, 2 touchdowns. This week going against one of the most miserable defenses in the Power 5 in Texas. I think Texas puts up quite a few points on the Bama defense this game, meaning that Bama will still be passing the ball this game. But I think Trayshawn Holden, too talented for the Texas defense. I see him going over 100 yards and possibly multiple touchdowns.
Yeah, number one target for the Bama offense last week, and I think he's going to have another one here. All right, moving on. Underdog predictions. Currently, I am 0-1 as West Virginia barely took the loss to Pitt last week, but Marco, he predicted the Utah loss, and he goes 1-0 to start the season. So that's where we're at with underdog predictions right now. I'm taking South Carolina beating Arkansas here. After a dominant 35-14 Week 1 victory over Georgia State, the Gamecocks have a statement game truly against Arkansas to prove why they should be a top 25 team. Spencer Rattler, the hyped up transfer from Oklahoma, obviously didn't have a great year last year, got a spot taken by Caleb Williams. He had a rough week one performance for sure, but the talent is there. It's always been there. If he can keep the turnovers to a minimum this week, I think they have a true shot here.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that'll definitely be an interesting game to watch. I mean, obviously with Spencer Rattler maybe having a big week. But my underdog prediction, number 23 in the country, Wake Forest, taking on unranked Vanderbilt. Yes, Vanderbilt, the team that has been the laughing point of the SEC for the past 10 years. But this year, they have a quarterback named Mike Wright. I mean, he is one of the best dual threat QBs in college football from what I've seen so far this year through their first two games. 31 for 50, 391 yards, 6 touchdowns passing the ball, 25 carries for 250 yards, and 4 touchdowns running the ball. He is just a do-it-all QB. This pretty bad Wake Forest defense, in my opinion, is going to have a tough time keeping up with him. And I think Vanderbilt's just going to pull off the upset, getting themselves their first top 25 win in the last 15 years.
Yeah, that would be something interesting to see. Let's see if Vanderbilt can turn around their program. All right, next up, we have a pretty dead week in college football this week. I'm not going to lie to you. No big top 10 matchups or anything. But we do have a couple good games, so let's get it started. First off, Michigan playing the worst team in college football in Hawaii. The only reason you should really watch this game is to see how the quarterback battle plays out, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, we'll see who plays better, JJ or Cade. But I don't have much more to say about that game. Marco, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, that game should be an absolute blowout. 51-point spread. I think Michigan should pretty easily cover. I think JJ has a big game. He should be the QB1 if he does have a big game. And I'm excited to see how JJ plays. That's the only reason why I'm going to watch.
Yeah. All right, next up, Coastal Carolina, best team in the country, taking on Gardner-Webb. Should be an easy game. Grayson McCall, he'll probably throw for like 15 touchdowns or something. They'll win by 105. So, yeah, that's all I really have to say about this one.
No, I mean, I'm going to say Gardner-Webb, they're a sneaky opponent. I mean, if Coastal wins this game by more than 20 points, the national championship should already be theirs. Gardner-Webb, a very scary team. But I think Coastal takes care of them.
Yeah, for sure. All right, next up we have number 20 Kentucky taking on number 12 Florida. Florida took down number 7 Utah last week. They're showing why they're a top team in the country. Obviously, they have that brand new running back, true freshman, Travis Etienne's little brother. And he's showing some flashes of greatness here. I got Florida in this one, but Kentucky's definitely proven to be a solid team over week one.
Yeah, I mean, Anthony Richardson, arguably the best dual threat QB in college football outside of Bryce Young and CJ Stroud. I mean, he has rushed for over 100 yards. He just makes incredible plays passing. But, I mean, this Florida team, just like last year, is so talented. They're way more talented than Kentucky. Last year, they just had no consistency. One week, they lose by 4 to Bama. The next week, they get blown out by Kentucky. I mean, they just weren't consistent last year. And I think Will Levis and this offense will show that this Florida team just shouldn't be in the top 12 after one win. I think Kentucky wins this game.
Wow. Big take by Marco there. Moving on, we have number 21 BYU taking on Baylor. Baylor had a big win last week, putting up almost 70 points, which is absolutely absurd. But BYU is favored in this one. So who you got, Marco?
I got Baylor in this. I think BYU is overrated. I mean, Baylor has a very solid defense, which is rare for the Big 12. BYU is pretty much overrated every year. And I don't see this being very close. I mean, I'm not watching it since it's at 10:15, but I think Baylor takes care of this pretty easily.
Okay. Yeah, so BYU had a big combination of running and passing yards last week. Christopher Brooks putting up 135 rushing yards, averaging 10 yards a carry, and he brought in a 52-yard rush to the end zone. He's a big play running back. He can definitely make a lot of stuff happen. So I'm going to take BYU in this one. That running and passing combination for BYU is going to be big, and I just think that they're going to come away with the victory.
Yeah, that's possible. One more game I want to talk about here is number 1 in the country, Alabama at Texas. The only reason why I want to talk about this is I think this will be a very entertaining game. I mean, Quinn Ewers, Bijan Robinson, Xavier Worthy, that three-headed monster that Texas has on offense. I mean, I think they could put up over 30 points this game, and I would not be surprised. But I do think Bama wins this game. But I think it'll be closer than a lot of people think. I would probably take Texas for the spread, as the spread is 20. But I do think Bama still wins this game.
Yeah, I agree with you. Bama's going to win this game, but Texas is going to keep it close with that offense. If they don't turn the ball over, especially if they can pull off some good clock management, they could definitely put up a fight here. The only problem is their defense is absolutely horrendous, as we've said earlier. So they're really going to have to just slow it down on offense and make Alabama really work for their stops. Marco, do you have anything else to say?
Nope.
Yeah, all right. I think that was a great episode. We will see you all next Wednesday for the next episode.
Yep.
We hope you all enjoyed this episode and enjoy this next weekend of college football. See ya.
See ya.